9 teas you should look closer at, and 3 real ones. Question the label. Decode your plate. Here's something almost nobody checks before they steep a cup. Tea has one of the healthiest, purest images of any drink on the shelf. Calming, natural, good for you. But that reputation hides a lot. A surprising amount of what's in the tea aisle is low-grade leaf dust dressed up in pretty boxes. Tea that contains no actual tea at all. Drinks that are mostly sugar. And in one corner, so-called detox teas that can act on your body in ways that cheerful packaging never mentions. At Culinary Cipher, we believe the truth is usually hiding in plain sight. Every ingredient tells a story, every label is a clue, and every wellness claim deserves a second look. Because better food choices don't begin with bigger promises, they begin with better information. So before you buy another box, let's look closer at what's really in that bag. The whole thing starts with what tea actually is. Real tea, whether black, green, white, oolong, all comes from one plant, Camellia sinensis. The quality depends on the leaf. Whole leaves make better tea than the broken dust swept up at the bottom. And many products called tea aren't tea at all in the botanical sense. They're herbal infusions with no Camellia sinensis in them. None of that is bad on its own, but the labels blur it, and the marketing leans hard on tea's healthy halo. Once you learn what to look for, the box tells you far more. Let's look closer at the 9 to watch, and then the 3 actually worth steeping. Number 1. The cheap tea bag, dust and fannings. Open a standard cheap tea bag, and you'll often find not leaves but a fine, dusty powder, the tiny broken bits and dust left over from processing whole leaf, known as fannings and dust. It brews fast and strong but often harsh and flat, with the delicate flavors long gone. It's real tea, just the lowest grade of it. Look closer at whether you're buying whole leaf or dust, because that difference is most of what separates a great cup from a bitter one. Number 2. The herbal tea that isn't tea. Chamomile, peppermint, rooibos, and fruit teas contain no actual tea leaf. They're herbal infusions, sometimes called tisanes. That's completely fine and often lovely, but it matters if you're drinking tea for the specific benefits or the caffeine of real tea, because these have neither. Look closer at whether there's real tea in the box or just herbs and flavorings, because herbal tea is a friendly name for something that, botanically, isn't tea at all. Number 3. The natural flavor fruit teas. That berry or citrus tea that smells amazing dry often gets its aroma from added natural flavor rather than from real fruit. The actual fruit pieces may be minimal. They're mostly for looks, while the flavor comes from the additive. It's not harmful, but you may be steeping a flavored product rather than the fruit and herb blend the box pictures. Look closer at the ingredients, because a big fruity smell from a box with little real fruit is usually the work of flavoring. Number 4. The bottled iced teas. Here's the one that surprises people most. Many bottled iced teas are essentially sugar water with a modest amount of tea, carrying as much sugar as a soda. The healthy image of tea gets stapled onto what is, nutritionally, a sweet drink. Look closer at the sugar line on any bottled tea, because the word tea on the label does nothing to lower the sugar inside, and it's often shockingly high. Number 5. The green tea health halo products. Green tea's genuine reputation gets borrowed by all sorts of sweetened drinks, candies, and bottles that add a little green tea and a lot of sugar, then market themselves as a wellness choice. The small amount of green tea doesn't cancel out the sugar riding along with it. Look closer whenever green tea appears on something sweet, because it's often a health word doing marketing work over a not-so-healthy product. Number 6. The stale, undated tea. Tea isn't immortal. It slowly loses its aroma and flavor over months and years, especially once the box is opened. Yet most tea gives you no real sense of how fresh it is. Old tea makes a dull, papery cup no matter how good it once was. Look closer for any freshness or harvest information, and by tea you'll actually drink within a reasonable time, because a beautiful tea gone stale is just expensive dust. Number 7. The plastic in some silk tea bags. Those fancy pyramid tea bags marketed as silk are frequently made of plastic mesh, and there's ongoing discussion about tiny plastic particles they may shed into very hot water. The science is still being worked out, and it's not a settled danger, but it's a fair reason to prefer paper bags or loose leaf if you'd rather not steep hot water in plastic. Look closer at what the bag itself is made of, because the container matters, not just the tea. Number 8. The decaf and how it's done. Like coffee, tea can be decaffeinated by different methods, some using chemical solvents, and some using gentler water or carbon dioxide processes. If that's important to you, better brands will say how it was done. Look closer at the decaf method when it's stated, and treat silence as a small unknown, because the product that tells you how it was decaffeinated usually used a method worth naming. Number 9. The detox, slimming, and skinny teas. This is the one to look closest at, because it's the only real safety concern on the list. Many detox and weight loss teas contain senna or other herbal laxatives, which force the body in ways that are easy to overdo, and marketing them as gentle daily cleanses is genuinely misleading. Look very closely at the ingredients of any tea promising detox or quick weight loss, and be cautious, because a tea sold as a wellness ritual can actually be a laxative in disguise, and that's not something to sip casually every day. Now let's be fair, because the goal is to steep smarter, not to give up tea. Real tea and honest herbal infusions are wonderful, safe, and among the nicest low-calorie drinks there are. Herbal blends aren't lesser just because they're not true tea. They're simply a different thing, and enjoying a fruit infusion is perfectly good. The issues are narrow, low-grade dust sold as if it were fine tea, sugar hiding behind tea's healthy image, and those laxative detox blends. Sort those out, and the whole aisle becomes friendly again. It's also worth understanding why loose leaf and whole leaf bags taste so much better, because it's not snobbery, it's physics. Whole tea leaves need room to unfurl and release their flavor slowly and evenly, which is why they give a rounder, sweeter, more complex cup. Crushed dust dumps everything out at once, fast and often bitter, and it's why cheap tea can taste sharp and one-dimensional no matter how long you steep it. Giving good leaves space, in a roomy bag or loose in a pot, is most of the secret to a better cup, and it costs nothing once you've bought decent tea. That single shift explains most of the gap between a forgettable cup and a memorable one. So here are 3 real ones worth reaching for. First, whole leaf tea, loose or in roomy bags. Look for actual visible leaves rather than fine powder, whether it's loose tea you spoon into an infuser or pyramid bags filled with whole leaf. You'll immediately taste the difference in a smoother, more flavorful cup. The leaf you can see is the clearest sign you're buying real tea rather than the swept-up dust at the bottom of the grate. Second, single origin or clearly sourced tea. Tea that names where it's from, a specific region or estate, tends to be fresher and prouder of its quality, much like good coffee or olive oil. That transparency is a signal that the leaf was good enough to stand on its own. Naming the source is a small promise that there's real quality in the box. Third, plain herbs and real ingredients for infusions. If you love herbal teas, reach for blends whose ingredient list is simply the real herbs and fruits: dried chamomile, mint, ginger, hibiscus, actual dried berries, rather than a short list padded with natural flavor. You get genuine plant flavor and nothing hidden, and you can even blend your own from whole dried herbs for pennies. Real ingredients, plainly listed, are the whole test. Here's the quick rule to carry into the store. The front will lean on natural, wellness, detox, and green tea, but look past the halo. Check for whole leaf versus dust, real tea versus herbal infusion, the sugar line on anything bottled, the bag material, and especially the ingredients of anything promising detox or slimming. The moment you see leaf dust sold as premium, sugar hiding behind the word tea, or senna in a cleanse, you know exactly what you're really holding. It isn't all dangerous, but that last one deserves real caution. The point is simpler than that. You deserve to know whether you're steeping real, quality tea or a dressed-up imitation, a sugar bomb, or a laxative. You don't need to overhaul your tea cupboard tonight. Just look a little closer the next time you're standing in that aisle. Whole leaves, real ingredients, little or no added sugar, and no mystery detox herbs. That's the whole check. So go read the ingredients on the tea in your kitchen right now, and tell me in the comments whether it's real tea, herbs, or mostly flavoring. I genuinely want to know what you find steeping in there, because that's the mission behind Culinary Cipher. We're not here to tell you what belongs in your cup. We're here to help you understand what's behind the label. Marketing can create a healthy image, but transparency is what earns trust. When you learn to recognize the difference, you're free to choose what fits your health, your family, your values, and your budget, with confidence instead of guesswork. Question the label. Decode your plate. Because every ingredient is a clue, every label tells a story, and every informed choice helps build a more transparent food system. We'll see you in the next investigation.